Here we are in Southern California in San Fernando at Game Tower. Here's the opening of their store with some t-shirts and everything like that. They had very fair prices here for the market. There's some SNES, some Xbox 360. They have a gigantic selection of games here, some SNES games in this display case. Their prices, if you're comparing them to like price charting or game value now, they're a little bit higher than that, not by too much. And so I know there's a lot of retro stores out there that like to jack up the prices, especially for N64 games like these ones right here. But they were very fairly priced, especially some of the lower end stuff that you would expect to be. And then there's all their PS2 games. Here's their PlayStation 1 selection, a very large quantity of games here, and then we're zooming in on Duke Nukem Time to Kill, which I wish I would have grabbed in hindsight. And then we've got their Vita selection and their PSP, so they have a bigger selection than a lot of other stores. Here's some high-end games like Eternal Darkness and Pokemon Coliseum, Silent Hill on the PlayStation 2. They had a massive selection of DS games, and there's Chrono Trigger. Pokemon games obviously are going to be expensive as expected. They had a gigantic wall of GameCube, Wii, Xbox, original Xbox, which was nice to see. I love my Xbox games. Here's their loose DS and some loose consoles there, and a nice display case of sealed or boxed Game Boy Advanced, Game Boy Color games, and then all of their loose stuff. And in this case, they actually had something pretty cool. They had like what looked like DS cases, and they had Game Boy games in them, so you had a nice way to package your loose games. There's a nice Pokemon Green sign there, and then of course they had a wall of display of strategy guides and magazines to look at, which was nice to see. And probably go back and get some strategy guides there. Their NES selection was a little bit small, but the prices were very fair. And then they of course have figures, action figures, wrestling figures, everything you can think of right here on this wall. Some nice display pieces for them as well, like that Luigi's Mansion, Link's Awakening. And here's their Sega section with the 32X, the Genesis, and some other stuff. I love the Genesis because those clamshell boxes are so much easier to find than the cardboard ones. And then there's their loose Genesis section here as well. 32X games obviously being a big pain in the ass to get because they're cardboard boxes. Here's their Dreamcast selection that they had that was a little smaller than I expected, but the Dreamcast is a little bit harder to find stuff for. So they had a pretty good amount. And here is, of course, the Sega Saturn, which is one of my favorite consoles ever, that they're shining the Holy Ark, a nice holy grail of a game. And then we've got plenty of boxed Saturn's games here along with 32X, and then of course we have their high-end stuff with the boxed copies of StarCraft 64, Super Metroid, a boxed orange GameCube controller, which was cool to see. Nice Donkey Kong Country 2 poster there. Some boxes for Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color, Snatcher at $1,400 because, well, that's worth paying for. If you haven't played Snatcher, go out and play it. And then, of course, some very high-end PlayStation 1 stuff that's very nice to look at, but, probably never going to own a lot of these games. And then PlayStation 2, which has skyrocketed in recent memory. And then a big mix of GameCube, PlayStation Portable, stuff like that, the PSP had those RPGs with some nice collector's editions. And then finally, in their high-end section, some Vita, Switch, Saturn, Dreamcast, and then of course we're looking at the price here for Shining Wisdom, which is $60. So you'd love to get it for that now, but good luck with that. And then of course, to finish out the games, we had some limited run Switch sort of things, and here's Pokemon games in the box that are outrageously expensive because they need to be, and then a large selection of Switch games. I love the Switch. I'll have to do my Switch collection one of these days and go through and show you all the games I have for it because I do love collecting for the Switch. It's very fun and sort of throwbacky with all of the different games that you can get for that console. And then they had some boxed Switch consoles down here as well. So if you need a Switch console, go check it out. Finally, we have their boxed selection of consoles, in this case with some Game Boy, Game Boy Advanced, DS, Sega Genesis Classic, PlayStation 1 Classic, GameCube, the Gold N64, the Pikachu N64, the Jungle Green N64 that I've been hunting after, Dreamcast, Vita, everything you can think of. Wii, that weird model of the Wii right there that came out super late in its life, PlayStation 1, an Xbox, Gears of War Edition, a GameCube, which, spoiler alert, I bought one, Jumanji on the Switch, and then of course PlayStation consoles to round out their selection. So let's check out what we got at Game Tower. We got some good stuff there for the prices. And of course, like I said in the video before, they did have a 15% rainy day discount. So it is a rainy day here in Southern California for once. We're getting plenty of those. So if you're in the area and it's raining, go check out Game Tower. But we'll start off with two games that I got that were on the little cheaper side, I guess. We got WCW versus NWO World Tour, which I never actually had as a kid. I had all the other WCW games besides this one, and I got it for $8 minus the 15%. So this is a hell of a deal to get this game, because this game goes for $8. You know, it goes like $10 around there, so that's a good deal. And then, of course, we added Star Wars Rogue Squadron back to the collection here. And this one I picked because it had a Hollywood Video sticker on the back that was scratched off. And so that's how you know it's legit, folks, is that if you get a Hollywood Video sticker, no one's going to fake that. This one, great game. Really happy to get it back in. And $15 is a great price for this. I know going to a game store and getting, you know, oh, you're going to get ripped off by, well, there's some game stores out there like that. Game Tower was not one of them. They had some very, very fair prices. And then, this might spoil some things, but for my friends Michael and David, I got NFL Street 2, and this was $35. I've played NFL Street and NFL Street 2. I got this one when it came out on the PlayStation 2. Love this game. It's sort of like NFL Blitz's younger cousin almost. But this one came with the manual and the disc, so that's really nice. So I got this for them to play and for me to play too, because I love NFL Street. And wanted to get my GameCube collection a little beefed up. And then next up, we have a game I've never played before, and it was originally a Nintendo 64 game called Dinosaur Planet, and then it got moved over to the GameCube when they realized, hey, we're scrapping the N64, and we're going to move on to the GameCube for the next generation. But we've got Star Fox Adventures, and this one was $45 minus the 15%. This one didn't come with the manual, but it did come with the disc and the case and the cover and everything. So happy to get that. If I want to get the manual eventually, whatever. With me, with collecting, like if it's got the box and the cover is not destroyed and the disc is not destroyed, the manual is nice to have for certain things. For games that I really love, I want the manual. Like Rogue Squadron, I'm going to want the box and the manual and everything. But for something like this, where it's just like I want to play this game, then this is fine to pay for this and not get the manual. And then we have a third-party GameCube memory card, because they were out of GameCube memory cards for the first-party ones, which is sad. But this one works on the Wii and the GameCube, and, you know, it's brand new, so hopefully it's not too terrible. But, you know, third-party stuff I don't normally like buying, but, you know, I needed a memory card, so here was the one that I got. And then, of course, we have a black, oh, just got caught on the bag there. We have a black GameCube controller. And the GameCube controller is one that everybody loves. I know this is a very fan favorite controller here. And I love this controller a whole lot. The C-stick is a little weird, but this is a very ergonomic, awesome controller. And this is a first-party one, which is great, so that it's not one of those crappy third-party ones that we get. But love having an official GameCube controller in black for my, drumroll please, because can't get all that GameCube stuff without getting a black GameCube. I had my pick of the indigo one, silver or black. My sister, growing up, had the silver one, and so normally I'd go and ask her for her GameCube and be like, hey, you're not using it, can I borrow it, keep it, have it, whatever. But she got rid of it over the years, so this is what I had to do. Gotta go out and get a GameCube, and this one is perfect mint condition. The top is a little bit scratched, but like it's a GameCube, it's supposed to be scratched. I don't know. And then everything is here. It's got all the covers on all the ports and stuff down here. Works like a charm. So love having this wonderful, wonderful GameCube in my collection. This is the first GameCube I've owned, because my sister had the one that I played with as a kid. So really happy to have this and the lunchbox handle and everything. You know, now that I have it in my hands, and I haven't had one of these in my hands for a long time, I can see why everybody loves the freaking GameCube, because it's so awesome just hold like this one, and it's just such a it looks like a game system. It looks like a video game system, and you don't get that a lot these days with the PlayStation 5 looking like a friggin' wireless router and being massive. This is about as, you know, it's smaller than my head. I have a gigantic head, so but it's smaller than my head, but this looks like a video game system. So that's absolutely awesome to get in my collection. This was $100. This is the first run also. This is the DOL-001. So it's a first print run GameCube. It's worth a little bit more, I guess. But, you know, on a rainy day when you're going out in Southern California to a game store, you got to get something. You got to get some games. And I splurged a little bit. I got, you know, the GameCube and some of the games for it, but you know, we're adding to the collection. So if you have the chance to go out into Southern California, to San Fernando, to visit Game Tower, go and do it. They have an excellent selection. They're not paying me for this. This is just the first part in a series that I'm doing about Southern California gaming, Southern California retro gaming. So make sure to check out for the rest of those. And if you want more video game content, check out this playlist to see all of my video game videos.